record-setting offense as they get ready to take on the Shockers of Wichita State from here at Loves Field. 16 runs against the Sooners in their last meeting a year ago, and in the 2 spot, Asha Moore has been a bright spot for this club this season.
Well, Asha Moore, the transfer from North Texas, has fit right in. She's leading the team with 10 home runs on the year. You see there, second in the AAC for on-base percentage. But 1 through 4 for Coach Bredbender are what she calls the big boppers. So not your typical leadoff type roster.
Those big boppers will be going up against the senior transfer from LSU, Sydney Berzon, getting the start in the circle for Oklahoma.
Well, Sydney Berzon, the transfer from LSU, not as many innings as one would expect coming in, but has started to turn a corner as of late. And Oklahoma going to go ahead and give her the ball in this midweek start.
The Sooners back at home after going 6-1 on a 7-game road trip, and we are underway as the first pitch delivered to Trinity Allen. 5 home runs on the year. When you talk about Berzon, seems to be finally hitting her stride. After a rough stretch earlier in the year with her first season here in Norman, as that one chopped over to short, handled by Garcia, bounced in, not in time. Leadoff hitter Allen reaches for the Shockers.
Well, Sydney Berzon is going to throw a mix at this Shockers lineup. She's going to sit mid-60s. Mainly drop-rise combo. The vertical separation is what is in her advantage, but she will primarily stay down in the zone with traffic on the bases. She'll mix in a little east-west and a changeup, but Coach Jen Rocha has talked to us. The vertical separation and using that drop in the zone is so key for Berzon.
This is with the first pitch to Asha Moore, the transfer from North Texas. Over Berzon's last 6 outings coming into tonight, just 1 earned run in her last 17 innings. Patty Gasso said the key, she has been attacking the zone more, just like that pitch. She told her, listen, trust the defense behind you. You're going to allow some hits, but continue to compete and attack. When you start throwing too many balls, that's when you get into trouble. Sent into foul territory, and it will drop in there. Berzon was a 2-time All-American with LSU. Didn't start in the Auburn series. Went to Patty Gasso before the LSU series and said, Coach, I'm ready to start. And Patty Gasso said, that is exactly what I want to see out of you. That self-confidence is key.
Well, feeling back to yourself in the circle, but to reiterate your point, Alex, hitters are hitting 178 off of Berzon when she's ahead in the count. When she's behind the count, 100-point difference, 280 coming into today.
And there is strikeout number 1 on the night for Sydney Berzon.
A nice drop ball in the inner half there by Berzon to retire Asha Moore. But Berzon controlled that whole at bat. She got ahead. Even though she got to even, she was still in control as far as being able to locate in and around the strike zone, and that's going to be key for the senior tonight.
First pitch in there for a strike to Gabby Scott, sophomore catcher out of Angleton, Texas. .365 hitter on the year. Younger sister of former Texas Longhorns All-American Mia Scott. We were talking to her before the game. Said, do you lean on her for advice? Did she teach you everything you know? She said, absolutely not. And then her head coach, Christy Bredbender, promptly called her out and said, that is not true at all. You were on the phone with her the other day asking her for all kinds of tips and advice.
Yeah, Coach Bredbender threw her under the bus real fast. But they are 2 very different hitters. Obviously, Mia Scott from the left side, able to utilize her speed. But her sister, Gabby, she swings it well. It's similar. Coach Bredbender said she likes to take too many strikes, and you and I covered enough of Mia's games. We were like, I think we've heard that before, so that must be running the family.
Absolutely. Christy Bredbender, the winningest coach in Wichita State history, taking them to 5 NCAA regionals, including 3 times in the last 5 years. 1-2 on the way to Scott. Back up the middle it goes. And mishandled by Agbayani to aboard. A rare miscue for the Gold Glove second baseman. Ilana Agbayani, a two-time Rawlings Gold Glove winner.
Well, Gabby Scott with a hard shot here, but you see Agbayani coming up looking to toss to second before she has that ball gloved. To keep eyes on the glove first and then find your defensive partner for the toss. You can tell she was just a little far ahead of herself in that play.
Can Wichita State take advantage? Here's the freshman Kinsey Woody, who's at 6 home runs this year, including one in her last game Sunday in the finale against USF. The last time these two teams played each other a year ago, and it was a barn burner. Oklahoma won 19-16. Wichita State gave the Sooners all they could handle.
Well, Coach Bredbender talked to us about that game. She said if they hadn't given up 8 in the first inning, we win. We outscored them the rest of the way. And today, so important for Wichita State here as they threaten. You can get through Sydney Berzon, score here in the first. That's some energy that the Shockers are going to need going up against Oklahoma tonight.
Chopped over to short, on to second for one. And the threat is over. The inning-ending double play. And here comes the vaunted Oklahoma offense, led by Kendall Wells after the break. The highest scoring team in program history and the fastest in NCAA history. The highest scoring team in the nation and the fastest in NCAA history to reach 133 home runs, Kat. They have put up video game-like numbers.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely insane. 11.9 runs per game. Right now, 442 runs scored. If they ended today at 133 home runs, they would finish 7th most in a single season in Division I, and we're still a little less than 20 games left in season.
Needless to say, a tall task ahead tonight for senior righty Jade Sanders out of Stonewall, Oklahoma, getting the start tonight. The D2 transfer who threw more than 500 innings at the Division II level. She will face Kai Miner to start things off here in the bottom of the first inning. Miner, the center fielder who leads all D1 freshmen in batting average, hitting .505. This Oklahoma offense on pace to set all kinds of records for batting average, runs scored, home runs. And Miner, a huge part of that top 10 in the nation in batting average, regardless of class. Sanders falls behind 3-0.
Sanders going to have to find the corners. Coach Bredbender talking to us, as you mentioned, the transfer from Rogers State. Used to getting balls a little bit farther off the plate than she does in the D1 level.
And a 4-pitch walk to start things off. Of course, in charge of the Sooners, Patty Gasso, fresh off career victory number 1,600 in that series against LSU, and then picked up the next one shortly afterwards. The 8-time national champion who has won 81% of the games she has coached here in Norman. So base runner aboard for Ella Parker, the 2-time All-American right fielder. Parker went yard for the 16th time this year on Sunday against LSU. One of 7 different batters in this Oklahoma starting lineup hitting 400 or better.
The most impressive piece about the OU offense is year after year, you hear all these crazy video-like game numbers that they put up, and then JT Gasso continues to push the envelope, and they find another way to be even more impressive offensively. There you see JT Gasso, the oldest son of head coach Patty Gasso, but has been in charge of this offense.
Runner is going, the throw on to second, not in time. So Kai Miner with her 13th stolen base of the year.
Well, you were talking about Kaya Miner and the 500 batting average. I said some of that is going to be due to her speed. She can beat out a lot of balls, but here you see her take off, and absolutely no shot for Gabby Scott behind home plate. Kaya Miner slides in easily.
Parker fights one off. Kendall Wells, the nation's leading home run hitter, again as just a true freshman, on deck. There is no relief in sight in this lineup for opposing pitchers. Up and down, Parker, Gabby Garcia, Wells, Cassidy Pickering. They are stacked, leading the country in batting average, home runs, runs, and slugging percentage by a wide margin in just about all of those stats.
Well, if those stats don't scare any pitcher alone, starting with Ella Parker, then 5 straight hitters have double-digit home runs on the year.
Parker over to first, and stepping on the bag is Allen as Minor advances to third. So one away, runner in scoring position for a player that less than a year ago was in high school. Now she is leading all of college softball in home runs and on pace to break not only the NCAA single season record of 37, Kendall Wells is on pace to break that national record by the end of the regular season, Kat.
I have to imagine as they enter SEC play, she's circled real big on a lot of lineup cards, so it'll be interesting to see how pitchers in the SEC continue to pitch to her or not in crucial situations. But either way, the freshman has come in and, as we mentioned, highly touted recruit, so you knew she was going to be able to produce offensively. Not sure anyone thought it was going to be at this high of a rate. But the most impressive part to me is she's not just pull side power. She's able to spray the field and does a really good job of hitting the ball where it's pitched.
Say, what's the approach here? Sanders behind 2-0, staying outside.
You can tell they're trying to force her to have to go opposite field, which with a runner at third, not typically what you want to do, but when her power is mainly up the middle left side, not a bad philosophy. You see here her spray chart, and she literally sprays the whole field. Dead up the middle and dead right field are the two spots that she doesn't hit very often, but when you can cover 3/4 of the field with some power, makes it pitching to you a hitter really hard.
Earns a 4-pitch walk. Second walk to the first 3 batters faced for Jade Sanders, 2 aboard.
Normally I would say that's not a bad walk, but with 1 out, first inning, and to be honest, no relief behind, or no relief in sight behind Wells. Now putting up a situation where OU very realistically can cash in for a crooked number here in the first inning.
Here's Gabby Garcia, the power-hitting sophomore who leads all shortstops in the nation in home runs with 16. Again, a first pitch ball from Sanders. I mean, when you talk about the challenge facing this Oklahoma offense for most opposing pitchers, but especially for Sanders coming from the D2 level to now facing this.
Well, any pitch you throw can leave the yard, and that goes for almost anyone facing OU. But right now, especially getting behind in the count, you know OU has done their scouting. They're very locked into one specific area of the strike zone. But with the way they leave the yard, you have to be very careful against this lineup, especially with runners on.
Garcia, an All-American a year ago when she hit 20 home runs. Chops one over to first, and that will get past Allen. Kai Minor comes home, and Oklahoma grabs the early lead.
Well, off the bat, this looks like it's going to be a ground out. Wichita State might be in business, but Trinity Allen pulls up on that as you see her try to pick instead of staying behind it. Gets through to right field, allows Minor to score easily, and Kendall Wells to get herself to third.
Runners on the corners for Cassidy Pickering, another first-team All-American. Runner at first is going, and Wells will take second as there is no throw. 2 in scoring position for Pickering, who had an incredible 32-game on-base streak that was snapped in that series against LSU. That dated back to the season opener.
Alex, they talk about leadoff walks so often, and Kai Minor earning that walk to start off this first inning. Came back to bite Sanders. Free passes. You give OU free passes, they're going to find a way to capitalize.
Wichita State Chat with Jade Sanders in the circle. The Shockers entered tonight 19-13, 7-5 in the American. This is a team, as we said, that had made an NCAA postseason appearance 3 times in the last 5 years. But Kat, they had to totally revamp their roster. 7 new starters this year and 14 newcomers in general.
Yeah, Coach Bredbender talking to us about the fact that all 7 returners only have 1 year at Wichita State. And there you see their first-year starters and what they're doing offensively. But she did lose a lot last year, both in the circle and offensively. You talk about it. We said seven returners only, 14 newcomers. We've mentioned Asha Moore, Sanders transferring in. You have Chloe Ryan as shortstop. Plethora of new faces, and Bredbender will say we're just young and inexperienced, and that is where they've gotten themselves in trouble here so far this season.
Facing a huge challenge tonight, 2 in scoring position, 1 away. And the 1-1 to Pickering. Sends one to left field. That'll drop in and bounce off the wall. 2 runs come in. It's a 2-run double for Cassidy Pickering. Oklahoma already doing damage here in the first.
Well, Sanders trying to go on the outer half, and you see Pickering just going with this ball extremely well into left field. Rooney shifted a little bit over towards the line. I like the base running by Gabby Garcia. She was off to the races knowing that even if that ball got caught, she was going to have time to get back, so easily able to score from second. But it goes back. You give Oklahoma free passes, give them an inch. They don't just take a yard, they take a mile. They're going to cash in every time you give them a free opportunity.
3 runs allowed by Wichita State, 2 of those earned. Here's Isabella Emmerling, having a career year so far. As the 0-1 misses, the senior first baseman, 12 home runs this season, matching her total from all of last year. And when the star freshman Kendall Wells arrived, you know, for Emmerling, it was kind of the hardest thing, but also the best thing to happen. Competition made her up her game as she drilled one off Sanders. And Sanders hobbling right now. That drew oohs and ahs from the crowd as they will go out and check on the senior. You and I were at batting practice earlier today, and just the crack of the bat when Oklahoma's at the plate. And those are some hard hit balls, and Sanders was the recipient of one of those.
Emmerling just drove that hard ground ball right back up the middle. Here, that goes right off the outside part of the foot too. That never feels good.
So you ever get hit there?
Got hit in the foot and the shin a couple times, and it does not feel good. Thought as she jumped off the mound to go after the ball, she might hustle and make the play, but almost as she kept moving, she felt like it hurt. You saw her slow down. They're out there testing how well she can.
They have arms up in the Wichita State bullpen. Dual action. And a 3-0 game here in the first inning as they continue to take a look at Sanders. And she'll try and tough it out.
Well, the key is this is going to be her front foot, so where she lands and resists against. Is she going to be able to do it with enough force that she doesn't lose any velocity and she's able to have some control?
How difficult is that to play through that?
Honestly, it depends on where it hits on your foot, how much kind of it's the nerves, really. At this point, I don't know. Looks like she's at least walking better. See, it just looks like it hits on the outside, right below the ankle almost. I mean, if I'm Bredbender, the warm-up pitches didn't really convince me that she's pitching at full go. But Bredbender and the athletic trainer out there to make the final determination.
Conversation comes to an end.
I think Bredbender just signaled she's going to make a change.
Sanders Faced 6 batters. A couple of hits and a couple of walks. And then a moment ago, as you said, got drilled by that shot off the bat of Isabella Emmerling.
Oh, and as we said, it was the fact that as she went for the ball, she slowed up is what kind of was the trigger in my head that it was probably worse than what most people thought, just ricochet off the foot.
And you can see still in nurse.
Well, Gabby Fake's going to be drastically different. Left side could combat the left-handed bats of the Oklahoma lineup, but limited innings so far this season, just 12 1/3. But she's going to use a good mix. A lot of curveballs, drop balls, change up. Big thing for Gabby Fakes. She attacks the zone well, but she has to be able to stretch the zone as well. Stay into the zone too long, gets hit, but get ahead and then try to expand and see if she can get the Sooners out a little more efficiently. Lower pitch count's going to be better if you're a pitcher against this Sooner lineup.
Saw limited action last year from Wisconsin, just 3 appearances, dealing with injuries, and now steps into the fire here with her team down 3-0 to the best offense in America. Runners on the corner, still just 1 away. And Ailana Agbayani, the senior second baseman, coming up to the plate. She had a couple of hits in the finale against LSU on Sunday. First pitch strike from Fakes.
Agbayani transferred over from BYU for the 2025 season, but the power numbers for Agbayani have absolutely gone through the roof since being here at Oklahoma.
Power numbers have gone up just about across the board for every Oklahoma player who arrives in Norman, and also usually a terrific defensive player. We saw the miscue in the top of the first, that she's got Emmerling over at first and Pickering at third. Showed bunt.
For Oklahoma, that miscue didn't hurt them, unfortunately, for Wichita State. You'd be looking at 2 outs right now if play had been made against Gabby Garcia.
Agbayani up the middle. That'll find its way to center field. And it's an RBI single for Ailana Agbayani. 4-0 Sooners.
Agbayani does a great job with this pitch. Down in the zone, but over the heart of the plate. Just goes right up the middle with it.
And now 2 on for Sydney Barker, the sophomore out of California. Barker's taken over at third since the injury to Nellie McEnroe-Morenas, which nobody's talking about. This is an Oklahoma team putting up all these record-setting numbers despite losing their starting third baseman for the year.
Starting third baseman, one of their top hitters. That just shows what they're capable of.
Oh, what a leaping grab by Smith over to second, not in time. But a nice defensive job by Cammie Smith.
Well, this is a sinking liner. Looks like it might just get over Smith, but she's able to make the jump, outstretch reach. A big second out for Wichita right now to keep Oklahoma from scoring any more. If Fakes can retire Abby Dayton, a great relief appearance here in the first inning for the lefty.
Dayton hitting .461 in the 9 spot. She surpassed 200 career hits last weekend in Baton Rouge. She's taken some of the younger players on this squad under her wing as one of the veterans. 2-0.
I think you talk about Oklahoma's power, and one of the things not talked about a lot, because they don't have to steal a lot when you can leave the yard, but Abby Dayton, Ailana Agbayani, Kai Miner all can run really well, which allows Coach Patty Gasso and JT to be more aggressive on the bases when balls do stay in the yard. You can go ahead and keep waving them around, but the speed also puts pressure on the defense.
And those fast runners advance a base, second and third, 2 away. And by the way, one more ball from Fakes will load the bases, and we'll go back up to the top of the order. Hitters count on the way for Abby Dayton. Scored the tying run, then drove in the winning one in last week's series opener against LSU. Full count on the way.
You can tell Dayton trying to use her speed. She mixes being able to slap and swing away in there, but trying to make some contact against the Shockers lefty right now.
Oklahoma with 4 runs off 3 hits so far here in the first. Payoff pitch. And we'll do it again. Abby Dayton, former transfer from Utah, where she was an All-American. Just having a terrific final season here in Norman. And the bases will be loaded for the Sooners. It was 3-0, worked her way back to 3-2, but then lost her.
And you can tell Fakes tries to stay down in the zone, but right now missing too low in the zone against Abby Dayton.
And here comes freshman Kai Miner, walked in the first inning. One of the best batting averages in America right now, hitting .505. First pitch misses. Sooners have batted around here in the opening inning. And there is a strike. Emmerling at third, Agbayani at second, and Dayton over at first.
JT Gasso excited to see the offensive output early in this game. A lot of times in the series on Sunday, you get one day to prepare. You come to a Tuesday. It can be a slow start, lethargic sometimes. Even Coach Bredbender said, I'm not sure what we're going to get out of our team today, as they traveled back from Florida yesterday.
2-2.
But Oklahoma coming out and making a statement here early. And I go back. That error at first base really game-changing in the fact could have been staring at 2 outs and just 2 runs scored.
The 2-2 to Miner with the bases loaded. Up the middle it goes. Handled nicely over it, short by Ryan. But Oklahoma strikes first, 4 in the
team would need for her to be in the dugout, and so she has been observing quite a bit, but I know the pitching staff is excited to have her back. She is one of the best pitch callers, if not the best pitch caller in the game. Just a rock for not only the pitching staff, but Coach Patty Gasso. You talk to her and she'll tell you she was a little bit lost without her person there in the dugout that she talks the game through. So I know Sooners alike are excited to have her back in the dugout, and the pitching staff benefiting from being able to have those conversations. But she did point out Carly Keeney still on staff and did an incredible job filling in for Jen Rocha as she was out.
1-1 misses from Berzon to Cami Smith. Yeah, Jen Rocha and Patty Gasso, not just co-workers, extremely close friends. Jen Rocha said she spent her time not with the team, watching all the games, analyzing, trying to help out, notice some glitches in some of the pitchers' mechanics. So even working while she was away from the team.
She said it just gave her a different perspective to be able to watch on TV, have a different view than you do from the third base dugout or even first base dugout.
Said, what were the emotions like first home game of the year? And you could see, it took a while to answer that one, choking up a bit.
Yeah, well, remember, she's an alum from this program as well, pitched here for the Sooners, so obviously Norman, Oklahoma, and she didn't play here at Love's, but being here at Love's Field means a lot to her and her family.
Berzon with the 3-2 count. Gave up a leadoff single to start off the night, and then that was it. In the first inning, got some help from her defense as well. A double play after an error before that.
Well, for Berzon, that's going to be key. She throws a lot of drop balls, does have the rise ball to try to get the chase or a pop-up if needed, but going to try to feed the defense. And when you have as good of a defense behind you as Oklahoma does, let ground balls rain all day. They're going to take care of business back there.
Berzon won 38 games in 2 years at LSU. Some people surprised when she answered the portal. And now the question this year for Oklahoma, listen, the offense has 0 questions, but who is the ace of the staff? Who is their go-to when it counts in the circle? Smith loops one to left field. That'll drop in there past Dayton. Cammie Smith heading for second as she slides in there with the leadoff double off Berzon.
Well, right now for Wichita State, it's important they get the leadoff on, but it's important they also keep in perspective, just chip away. But Cammie Smith does a nice job with this pitch inside, pulls it right down the line. Abby Dayton plays it off the wall well, but Smith with some good speed able to get into second safely. A big leadoff hit for Wichita State. More importantly, a big leadoff runner in scoring position with no outs.
Epperson swinging away over to third. And making the tag is Emmerling. The throw from Barker pulled her a bit off the bag, but the out is recorded first of the inning. So we talked about this Oklahoma pitching staff as you get a look at the defense. I think they thought Berzon maybe would be the ace. So far this year, it's really been Audrey Lowry, the sophomore lefty, stepping up in that role.
Yeah, the sophomore has truly stepped up and done an incredible job. And you look at all the data and analytics, being left-handed is an advantage just in and of itself, but then you couple that with a good movement. But they really are still looking for Berzon to be that number 2 starter, to be able to complement Audrey Lowry. So go have a lefty, have a righty, not necessarily have to rely on Lowry so many innings in SEC series. The name of the game when you get to postseason is how rested can your pitching staff be, and so Oklahoma really looking for some more innings out of Sydney Berzon here.
1-1 misses. Saw Miley Wichenio pick up a win over LSU on Sunday. She's 10-0.
Oh, and right now, Miley really has been that second pitcher for Oklahoma. 2 pretty big pickups for Oklahoma in the offseason when you get 2 pitchers from the SEC to join your pitching staff.
Now Berzon behind 3-1, and this is exactly what Patty Gasso was talking about, her concern when it comes to Berzon. She starts throwing too many balls in the count. Comes back with a strike, and the count goes full.
A lot of times as a pitcher who has vertical separation, you're used to getting swing and misses, and so you try to make the ball move more than you try to make the ball be in the strike zone. And if you're not establishing strikes early, hitters aren't going to chase it out of the zone.
Diving stab made by Garcia. The throw to second. Oh, just getting back safely to the bag was Smith. 2 on, 1 away.
Well, that was an absolute heads-up play by Garcia to see if she could almost backpick Smith at second, but Smith, seeing she stopped that ball, gets herself back, but any hesitation, that would have been a nice play by Garcia to get a second out. Very heads up by the infield of Oklahoma.
Again, it's a Wichita State offense as Oklahoma talks things over that can do some damage. 48 home runs on the year, averaging about 5.5 runs per contest. And a chance to break through here. What are you seeing out of Berzon so far?
Well, actually, I was going to say when Jody Epperson grounded out the first pitch of the at-bat, interesting that she was attacking that early because Berzon wasn't necessarily throwing a ton of strikes. And so right now, Wichita State, with the hits they have gone deeper in the count against Berzon. And right now, that would be my philosophy. Not necessarily swing first pitch, first strike you see, work the count a little bit, and then see if you can attack. But Berzon hasn't established that lower part of the zone for called strikes yet.
She misses there, ball 1 to the senior shortstop, Chloe Ryan, grad transfer from St. Louis. Only 11 hits on the year, but 4 of them have left the yard. And it's now a 2-0 count from Berzon to a player hitting 164 on the season right now.
And if I'm Coach Gasso during that timeout, the emphasis would have been on you're going right at this hitter. And again, you have a defense that can make the plays. Even Gabby Garcia stopping that ball from getting through to left field. If that ball gets past Garcia, Cammie Smith is in scoring, or only 60 feet away from scoring. So your defense is working. You have to allow them to do it.
Barker, the throw to first, and they get 2 away as the runners advance.
Wichita State opting for the bunt there. Tess Barker at third, but as you mentioned too, Chloe Ryan in the lineup more for her defense and her offense, so try to force some action with a bunt.
Here's freshman Mackenzie Rooney. Opportunity for Wichita State to get on the scoreboard, which they will need to do plenty of times because Oklahoma is averaging about 12 runs per game. Rooney hitting .250 on the year, 4 homers. 1-1.
Well, an opportunity here for Wichita State to just chip away at this lead. You don't have to get all 4 runs back in one at bat. Get 1 or 2 here. Get some offensive confidence going against Sydney Berzon.
Rooney over to second, handled by Agbayani, and made it look easy. The Gold Glover getting it done. It remains 4-0 here in the second. Single season record. Leading things off ahead of her is Ella Parker. Parker grounded out in the first. It is incredible the talent Oklahoma continues to bring in, and not just bring in talent, develop that talent to their potential and beyond.
Oh yeah, you see the 30 home runs as freshmen, but then they go on to set the records, which means, one, while people are trying to avoid them, they're still able to hit home runs at a high clip. But you know, the walk numbers for Chamberlain and Allo were through the roof as well.
Parker fouls one off.
I'll say I got to face both those hitters at the national team camp, and you have to be careful regardless of who you are.
What makes a hitter like that so special?
Well, you know that they can punish any mistake, so you're really thinking about not leaving the ball over the white, which makes sure you have to really paint the corners, but at the same time, the more they develop, they start to understand pitch sequencing and what people do to get them out. And so it becomes a guessing game and a chess match of they think I'm going to do this, but I'm really going to try to do this. And I remember Allo specifically, I had one tryout with her and got her out once and she walked once. And I was really mad because I was like 1.5 inches, 2 inches away from getting a strikeout, and she got just enough of it.
Speaking of strikeouts, there's a strikeout of Ella Parker by Fakes, the sophomore.
Fakes the lefty on lefty, was able to drift that ball just up and away from Parker.
And so here comes Kendall Wells, who currently has hit more home runs this year than 178 Division I teams. And again, just like the previous pitcher Sanders, they stay outside.
Well, yeah, Fake's going to use a backdoor curveball that looks like it's on the outside part of the zone, and then the ideal spot is for it to cut back to the back corner of the plate. So there, Kendall Wells didn't think that one was a strike.
Big home run swing and a miss, and the count 0-2 to Wells.
The big thing here with that backdoor curve from a lefty, Wells really has to think staying right center. Very hard to pull that pitch unless a pitcher brings it back over the white.
Sends one into foul territory. Wells' club coach noticed her way back in middle school at a young age when she was playing sports with all the boys. And as he put it, she was roughhousing. She was tossing them around like rag dolls. And he just had a feeling this is going to be one powerful athlete when she grows up. And that has proven to be true. Fouls another one off.
Fakes got away with one right there. That one too much over the plate. That's trying to go up in the zone, but that's on the plate, and Wells fouls that one straight back. Right now, has her set up for off speed or even possibly a chase, but that chase has to be well up at her eyes or higher.
The 0-2. Drilled to center field, but Epperson is there. 2 up, 2 down here in the second.
Great job there by Fakes. She actually goes low and in, but she stays at the knees and gets that one tight to get off the handle of Kendall Wells.
How much of an adjustment is it for these Oklahoma hitters to go from the starter, the righty Sanders, to now the lefty Fakes, who's looked pretty good coming out of the pen?
That's a little bit of an adjustment because obviously you're talking going from right-handed to left-handed, but two lefties have a lot of times have a sweep that is going across their body. So if you're a left-handed hitter, it's tailing away more from you than a normal pitch from a righty. And if you're right-handed, a lot of times it'll get in on you a little bit faster than you expect.
Gabby Garcia reached on an error in the first. Watches the count go 1-1. Her mom, of course, Kara Brunn, outstanding softball player at Arizona State. I mean, they were having serious softball conversations as far back as when Garcia was in second grade. I mean, when she said she wanted to play ball, her mom, Kara, said, all right, this is what it takes. These are the goals you need to set. Here's how we're going to get there. And she has followed through on that game plan.
If it's something you're passionate about, you're going to find a way to do whatever it takes. I wasn't even playing softball yet in second grade, so...
You weren't? You were playing volleyball, weren't you?
I was in soccer. I was a goalie.
I bet there were few and far goals in between against you.
I had a wingspan that covered a lot.
When did you hit the growth spurt?
High school. Started high school at 5'6" and finished right over 6 foot. Yeah. A little steady climb in there.
Chopped over to second. Smith on to first. And a 1-2-3 inning worked by Fakes and the Shockers. It remains 4-0 Sooners.